Can you hear it? Yeah. Hey, records on my did y'all boys not get the memo? I do not stay at the Intercontinental. And anything I got is not a rental. I own that motherfucker. Figure it out, the shit is simple. Stop me blowing up like a crescendo.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, it's the best time of the year. Just finished up fantasy football. What a season. What a championship. Not going to toot my own horn too much this podcast. Kirk, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, John. I'm doing good. I mean, yeah, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. You have a defeated man here. But you know what? It's okay. It's okay. I'm looking on the bright side here. There was a month of my life where everything was going right, gentlemen, where Michigan football was cruising, where the Lions had won 2 of their last 3 games and had a better record than the Matthew Stafford-led Rams, and where my fantasy football team was cruising into a bye. And that is no longer the situation. But you know what? Everyone has their ups and downs, and that's why it's always sweeter when you have when you've experienced the other. And John, how sweet is it, my guy? Champion of the league.
Kirk, it is sweet, my friend. And it's
I have to say, John, I think you're probably my favorite champion. It's you or Prego. Josh obviously has lost my favor this year. So oh wait, Josh didn't win. It's Jack.
Oh, I thought that was a bit you were doing.
No.
Just the disrespect.
That was an actual. I forgot Jack won. But yeah. So I don't know. I'm a little bit rambling here, John. It's been a while.
No, I mean, Kirk, we're getting back in the swing of things. But I will say on my hierarchy for champions, Prego and I, 1A, not even 1B, one maybe Z, perhaps, Jack Martelli.
Well, can I say this for Prego? I mean, let's save it for when we get into things.
Let's save it.
Gentlemen, without further ado, roll the intro.
Going to beat around the bush. It's Jack. I mean,
I kind of like us to win. Maybe that's cocky, but I kind of do.
I don't think that's crazy to say when.
Was that Prego's first round pick though?
Yes.
Like, dude, it just doesn't make sense at all, man. Like
I think we can do some damage.
I think it also might be the map.
All right. Are you Hoodie Mellow?
All right, welcome. Should I welcome everyone back?
Yeah.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Let me make sure we're recording. We are. It's going to be a good one. We're going to take you through the playoffs here real quick. Then we're going to go into a little bit of draft recap. Then we're going to do a break. And then we'll see where we go from there. Anyways, let's get started with a little playoff recap, huh? Exciting stuff. We had Josh, who changed his name to Clowntonio's Curse here. I think maybe, God maybe intervened a little bit there. But we'll talk about that later. Let's break down the first round. Obviously, me and Mark were the buys. And so first matchup was you and Dev.
Yeah.
And it wasn't exactly an explosion of offense there, John, but you guys got you remember this game probably. You remember who the big performer was or what the storyline was kind of? Or
Jump in very quickly. To be honest, I don't quite remember. I started Jimmy Garoppolo as my quarterback, which is tough. Oh yeah, this was the Tom Brady getting shut out against the Saints game. So I mean, you love to see it. Najee Harris putting up 4.6. I mean, he had 4 guys score less than 5 points. So I mean, unfortunate for him. Travis Kelce did score 41. So that was when I was going off. And I did say a couple things I regret. I said, Dev, I hope Kirk scores 170 on you the following week. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Jumped the gun a little bit. Mark Andrews putting up 35.6. That what a beast, dude. What an absolute stud. But yeah, I mean, Kirk, you're right. This was not much of an offensive explosion, defensive battle. Glad to see I didn't get Dev on his best day. And that's what you need in fantasy sometimes. A little bit of luck and consistent scoring.
Yeah, let's be fair to Dev. He had a rough game, not characteristic of his team this year. He had a great year. Obviously, he was plagued by injuries just like the rest of us. Derrick Henry goes down. That's a big loss. And he traded, Jonathan Taylor, which may have bit him in the ass. I'm not going to do all the fucking calculations on, what the scoring difference was or whatever, but he doesn't get it done. You had a huge outing from Mark Andrews, who I think there are 2 players I'd say for you who are kind of in the running for MVP this year. And I think, at least for regular season, there's not even a contest. It's Mark Andrews for you. Great pick there. And he was just solid all around. I remember actually before this game, I begged you not to start a Jimmy G, Brandon Ayuk stack. I said that was just embarrassing, but you did it anyway. And one thing I think that's interesting to remark on here is that, I would score the second most points in the playoffs next week. But no matter who I played, I would have lost. I think Dev had like 145 next week. So this was a very big matchup. And, it was kind of a weirdly low scoring one, but not reflective of the team's big battle. And you got the win here, John. Started your title run. Should we move over to the other one?
Yes, sir. And this one, Josh with a pretty good outing. But he started Tua, and I couldn't believe it. Tua is trash. In case anyone hasn't figured that out in the last 3 weeks. I mean, the guy is awful. But Sommer, what was he doing? 101.2. Granted, he did score more than Dev, but Sommer is one of those guys, dude. You climb, you make it to the dance, and you can't do the tango. I said it 3 weeks ago, and it's still true today, Kirk. Some habits don't change.
Yeah, first round exit. I thought all year that the profile picture looked like a guy choking and grabbing his throat like he was choking. And that's what he did. And he's done that every year, and that's unfortunate. I feel for him. To be honest, this year, I don't know how much of a choke it was. I don't think he was the favorite in this game. I think he kind of got lucky with his record and stuff. I don't think he should have been playing Josh. I mean, anyone would have beat Will. Any of the 3 people that would have been put in here would have beat Will. But, unfortunate. And then you have to watch a game where Tua plays Justin Fields in fantasy. And I don't think anyone wants that. But it is what it is. COVID's a bitch. Good. I mean, fine performance from Josh. Not really that impressive or anything. Tyreek gets 32. But is there anything else that happens in this game? I mean, boring game.
Dude, boring game. Just on the quarterback.
Boring game. And we were all saying that we hated all the teams in this. And it was just so unsatisfying and so boring. I mean, that there's not really much else to say. Josh gets a win here. Anyone basically who would have been in this role, the Sheriff, Santi, would have won this game, I'm pretty sure. So
for the first round quarterbacks, it was Tua, Justin Fields, Jimmy G, and Tom Brady. And Kirk, believe it or not, Tom Brady was the worst by far. It wasn't even close, actually.
Yeah, he was. And you know what? I started Stafford, who I think was also like, I think he would have been like third worst. He got like 10. And I remember like looking at the field and being like, dude, Stafford is such an advantage for me this year. Like, what a good trade. Oh, man. But anyways, let's get on to the next week, huh?
Yeah, we'll jump back here. Yeah, dude, I was cracking up though. I couldn't believe those are the starting quarterbacks, and to see Tom Brady put up 4 points was pretty stunning. So all right, overview of week 2. Offensive explosion from me, completely dominated you, wasn't even close. Really embarrassed you, quite honestly, Kirk. In more ways than one, I suppose. But what were you thinking going into this matchup?
Well, do you want to pull that one up, Josh?
Absolutely.
John? All right.
Absolutely.
Well, I think we can't talk about the game without talking about the injuries I sustained.
There we go.
Please scroll down, John. The bench is devastated, obviously, but I think really the injuries, what they deprived us of was probably a battle for the ages, because maybe I'm tooting my own horn here. Whatever. I should have maybe, you could say you draft for injuries, whatever. But I do think if I had all of my guys, I was probably the favorite going into the playoffs. That's all I'd say. And, I found some great players like to fill in. Like Amon-Ra St. Brown he's fucking outstanding, man. He's just unbelievable in fantasy and real life. This rookie player of the month in December. But anyway, obviously you had a huge explosion. Mark Andrews does his stuff again. Joe Burrow. I mean, let's talk about Joe Burrow. This is the other guy I was thinking of for MVP for you, because I think Joe Burrow in the last 3 weeks has had he's had like 1,400 yards and like 10 touchdowns. I'm pretty sure. It's unbelievable what he's done in the last 3 weeks. Look at this. 400 and 500 yards. Those are the 2 weeks you started him, John. And this guy's around our league, man. I had rostered Joe Burrow at one point. And obviously he would have been a better start in the playoffs than freaking look at that.
Look at this. I was gonna say, look at this, dude. I mean, so that was me who bid him right there. I added him, I then dropped him. You added him, you dropped him. Josh added him, Josh dropped him. And he finally came back to me full circle.
Well, with injuries this year and the smaller bench, I don't think anyone was rostering 2 quarterbacks for very long. So you just couldn't do that. And so I had to choose between Stafford and Burrow. I made probably the wrong choice, to be honest with you. But anyway, Joe Burrow was nice for you. I think really if I had like C-Mac, Waller, and Swift, we could have had quite a shootout, I think. If I hadn't started Donta Foreman on accident, I forgot he played on Thursday night, could have had maybe a little bit more of a shootout as well. But you know what? You won. You had a great scoring output. I don't think even with all my guys, I probably wouldn't have overcome it. So,
Kurt, one thing I want
to you, John. It did go out there, and it's a shame the way it ended. But let me just pause. Go ahead. Sorry, boys. We got some calls there. Personal stuff. Anyway, take it away, John.
We're busy people. Kirk, I wanted to commend you for starting the Cowboys defense, because your starts and sits on defense have been nothing short of spectacular this season. Incredible work out of you. I think we've played 3 times, maybe all 3, at least 2 of the 3 games. Your defense has scored more than 25 points, which is, really good work out of you. So, hey, Kirk, you got a lot of potential next year. Maybe you'll win a playoff game.
Listen, you know what I even did this year is I rostered 2 defenses in the league with five bench slots. Because I saw, Patriots, Cowboys. I was planning to alternate them 1-2. And I think the Patriots did absolutely curb stomp the Jags in the championship. So I don't know, whatever, but it would have been nice if I could have done that. Obviously, injuries kind of prevented it. I literally had to drop them to play a full roster this week.
Kirk, I wanted to push back on this. So you pick up Cam Akers, right? What's the thought process there? There's no way he was going to play.
There was maybe a way he came back for the championship, I thought.
So you'd rather have Cam Akers coming off whatever he tore or something.
Listen, I want you to look at the starting running backs in this game, John.
Foreman?
If Cam Akers is going to play, then he is going to start on my team. Like, I don't know what to tell you, man. That's just how it was. And he only scored 3 points in the championship, so it would have been an unlucky dice roll. But
That would have been a more.
it's what I had to do, honestly. It's what I had to do. I had to get as many possibilities there. But anyway, but yeah, anyway, I had some good defensive starts. I thought I was really excellent on the waiver wire. Cooper Kupp was obviously my season MVP. But really, I couldn't find consistent production at running back. Too many injuries. Stafford, very hot or cold this year. Mostly cold at the end of the year when it counts. And that's just not good enough. It's just not good enough. James Conner, I want to give him a big shout out. He was also an MVP for me kind of this year. I had a lot of guys that came in and played well for me. Elijah Moore, Amon-Ra St. Brown. All those guys, give him props. Mike Williams, obviously, was maybe, I don't know, obviously he cooled down, but when he was playing, he was winning the game. So he was a big waiver wire pickup. So had a good year. And you know what? I learned a lot as a fantasy manager. I think I've gotten better every year. And, hopefully I continue to improve. I continue to do well. We're going to tinker with some things, but I don't think I'm going to change the formula too much next year, John, honestly. I won the division. I'm one of 2 people now to have won our division. And I'm looking to repeat next year, and we'll see where we go from the playoffs. But
yeah, no, plenty of lessons learned. And that's the true sign of a leader and a visionary, is someone who can look at their mistakes and learn from them.
yeah, absolutely. And should we move over to, here we go. Okay. So Josh wins a very tight one. He was complaining about, all these guys he benched. He could have scored more. He wins, and now Josh is in the championship. And I think we were starting to see a really massive another flaw with the rule system, in that Josh now has the easiest path to the championship. And he's not playing even the highest seeded people, right? So again, just, but it's sick because he's the best team. Here's 113 for you. I don't know, John. I don't know. It makes me sick when I see this stuff. But Mark, obviously, he just got cold in the playoffs. I think if we were talking about his team, Jamar Chase waits till he plays me to drop 57 points or some ungodly number. Josh Allen has a big week here, but really doesn't get production from Kittle. And a lot of the guys he kind of found in the draft that were gems kind of cooled down in the playoffs until they played me the next week. But any other thoughts on that, John?
I mean, you and I looked at Mark's team several times throughout the year, and we're like, they're not good players, but they were in good positions. And that carried him quite a ways, finishing first in his division, getting the bye. But dude, I can't shake the feeling that this is a regression to the mean here. Like Cordero Patterson, where did that guy come from? That was crazy. But it's unfortunate. George Kittle, I think the 2 weeks before this, I'm pretty sure he
had 40 points,
dominating.
Yeah,
or I guess the third. Yeah, I mean 15 is not great, but yeah, 35, 39. Just a little bit unfortunate there, but I mean that happens in the playoffs. People get cold. Dalvin Cook being injured really stinks. I guess Brandon Cooks too. Those were both starters on his team previously.
Yeah. And listen, I don't think Mark had a bad year either. He really had, I think he had some of the best finds in the draft. I mean, we're going to do a draft recap here, but Jamar Chase is a stud, man. He's really good. And, he found a lot of breakout guys. Unfortunately, it just didn't go his way in the playoffs. And that happens, man. In terms of Josh's team, I didn't really look at what happened here. It looks like he got production from Debo and Mixon and nothing really else. And that was all he really needed to win. Who did he bench? I remember him complaining about benching guys, but it was you're never going to start Damian Harris, or Justin Jackson, right?
Yeah, and Antonio Brown, I guess.
Over Joe. I mean, Joe Mixon scores more than Harris also. So you'd be starting him over Aaron Jones. I don't think that's – or Tyreek Hill. I mean, you're not going to do that. So I wouldn't beat myself up if I was Josh about that, to be honest. Shouldn't bet in the playoffs, to be honest with you. But don't worry about that. No one's making that move. You want to move over the championship round now here,
let's
John?
talk about my coronation, if you will.
Yeah, this was a rough game for me. Obviously, John, was super cocky, super annoying when he beat me. And he was texting me the whole time. Like Dante Foreman had 7 points. John keeps texting me, "You're so lucky. Dante Foreman is going off. I'm screwed." Such an asshole. Like the biggest asshole you've ever met in your life. But anyways, so I had to root for him still over Josh because of the
Kirk, you're leaving
cruelty of
out where I
fate,
said,
honestly.
I texted Kirk. I said, "Dude, he's having a career day today." And Kirk, I guess wasn't watching the game, so he's like, "Oh man, dude, I wonder like he's probably got like 20 points." On Foreman's got like 6.
He had 17 yards at that point. Which is, I think, what he finished with in that game. He had a touchdown. I think he had like 9 carries for 17 yards and a touchdown. If he didn't have that touchdown, it would have been gruesome. But anyways, Josh is in the playoffs. I think he might have won more games in the playoffs than he did in the regular season. Just cruelty of fate. But here, God reminded us that he does exist, and he did not allow Josh to win the championship. Antonio Brown.
I mean, how can you not talk?
I mean, he's the story of the game. John's boy, man, comes back from the depth. Like, what a crazy turn of events. And I remember actually talking to John on the phone, like, before the championship, and he's like, "Dude, if Antonio Brown beats me, that's going to be gruesome." Like, but what, dude, he was bluffing, man. Antonio Brown was a sleeper agent for John the whole time. He storms off the field in a fashion never seen before in the history of professional football, leaves Josh holding the bag, man. And listen, I don't think it would have been the difference, but it certainly sealed it. Certainly sealed things pretty early there. And yeah, I mean, Burrow was excellent again for you, John. It looks like kind of all of your production came basically from Burrow and Williams in this game. Zeke with 4. I didn't even realize that.
Zeke had 4, and it was.
You had some injuries, I guess, as well. Because I'm looking at Christian Kirk. I'm not impressed really there, to be honest with you. To be completely honest, I almost think I like Josh's roster better than yours. Looking at it, aside from maybe the quarterback position, but it doesn't matter. And tight end, yeah. But doesn't matter, man. Does not matter because you got it done. You were the better team on that Sunday, and that's all that matters.
I think Josh,
you're the champion, man. Congrats.
Thank you. So for Antonio Brown, I mean, what a checkered past I have with him. He's burned me so many times. And then he had the fake vax incident. So in my mind, I was like, oh, he's not playing. Like, he's done. Like, they're gonna cut him. I figured they would cut him. Anyways, I drop him, and then all of a sudden, dude, Chris Godwin goes down. Mike Evans is hurt. And it's like, dude, Tony Totab's back. And I was like, oh my gosh. Josh scoops him up. And dude, I had a bad feeling in my stomach because I was like, if Antonio Brown against the Jets could score like 40, that's what I was thinking. And then you guys start texting me. Like, I wasn't watching the game. You guys start texting me, and I just lost it. I was cracking up. It's all over social media. It was awesome. It was awesome. And at that point, I think I knew I was going to win because Joe Burrow, that was in the 1 o'clock window. Joe Burrow and Williams were just going berserk. Huntley was having a bad game. And it just felt right, man. It was like a little bit of destiny there. And yeah, man, I did not feel good about starting Christian Kirk either. But dude, Zeke and Chubb, like, what the heck happened? Which also brings me to my team name change. You might notice it's Zeke's farewell tour. And Zeke has been my boy, dude. He's been my ride or die. Anyone in any league I've ever been in knows like that is my favorite player in the NFL, and it's not even close, and it hasn't been close since he's entered the league. I'm done with him, dude. This is the last year I draft him, so I'm playing my hand a little bit for the next year's draft. But dude, let's take a quick look at Zeke's final games.
Can I ask also one thing too after this, John? If we could take a look at Josh's bench, I've got a little thing I want to do as well. But
yeah, we'll do. So the final, just look at his rushing yards. From week 8 to the end, he didn't get more than 52 yards on the ground. Ezekiel Elliott, one of the top premier running backs in the NFL. I can't even say that anymore. It's not true. This guy was trash, Kirk. He was awful. He was terrible.
Dude, and you look at his like 100-yard games, like I'm pretty sure against Carolina and New York, like literally everything they were doing was working. Like it was just broken teams they were playing in those games.
Yeah.
Like I think he's washed up. I don't really think that's that surprising. Like running backs don't have a long shelf life, and Zeke like isn't like he doesn't take care of his body. Like there's all the stories about him going to the bars and stuff. Like it's not surprising to me at all. He just has, he's only fantasy viable because like he's freaking Zeke and like the Cowboy fans and like Jerry Jones and like they just love him, man. And he's not even, dude. I think Pollard is a much better football player, but
At this
it don't
point,
matter,
yeah.
man. It don't matter if he doesn't get the ball on the 1-yard line. Like,
What an interesting video from Matthew Berry. Zeke looking like his old self again. What does that mean? What does that
yeah, I
mean?
don't know how on earth what he's talking about. Maybe from a fantasy perspective, he has what 3 games over 50 yards this year.
Yeah. But Kirk, he finished.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Dude, number 6 running back though. Isn't that crazy?
It is, and I think,
150 yards.
listen, I think that's part of the reason for that is injuries and stuff. But doesn't matter if he was the 6th best scoring running back. But again, I don't think that reflects his on-field production. Like you can't be saying looks like his old self, dude. He led the league in rushing like 3 years in a row. Did he not?
He did.
So I think that's almost disrespectful. But
Quite a fall. from
let's get
grace.
into
Yeah,
into
go
the
for it.
bench here because regardless of basically who he goes with, Josh gets points if he plays someone from the bench, right?
Pretty much.
So let's go ahead and say, just for the purposes of this experiment, let's say he starts Rashad Penny, and he gets 25 points additional instead of Antonio Brown. Can we do that for me, John?
Sure.
Can you scroll up here? So we're going to give Josh 127 points, right? And we're going to take Joe Burrow from your team and put him on Josh's team and give you Antonio Brown instead of like, I don't know, Christian Kirk. Very different game, right? And
Yeah.
effectively, these players were traded. I mean, essentially they were. You dropped Antonio Brown
I did.
and picked up Joe Burrow, and he did vice versa in the playoffs, right? I think, did you hold on to Brown till the playoffs, or was it before the playoffs you dropped him?
We can look. So I dropped him December 2nd. So before the playoffs, I dropped him.
Okay. Well, still interesting dichotomy there because obviously you win that exchange. And yeah, I think it's just kind of funny the way things work out like that. But yeah, excellent season, man. Good, congrats. And
Dude, I
like
do
I
wanna
would
say-
normally say like, oh, I don't want to take anything away from Josh, but I do want to take everything away from Josh. He shouldn't have been in this position. It's kind of a joke, in my personal opinion, that he even got to go there. Did he score over 115 in the play? I guess the first week he had like 129, right?
Yeah,
So.
he had a good week.
But I mean, whatever, man. I don't care about it that much anymore. I don't have the energy. Should we get into draft recap here?
We can very quickly. Josh, congratulations on the second place finish. Hard fought game. One thing I will steal from you in future seasons is saving some waiver wire money because that was killer. You had like $8 and he just kept bidding $1. And I had spent all my money on what was that guy's name? McNichols from the Tennessee guy. I was like, dude, yeah, that's a lock. Like not next Derrick Henry, but I thought he'd be like a Deion Lewis type. Nah, that guy's just trash. So unfortunate, but that's actually something for our viewers to learn. Keep a little bit of waiver wire money in the back pocket because you'll need it. Come
Yeah, that's a
down.
privilege for teams that aren't dealing with injuries like I am, John. But regardless, let's continue. Let's continue.
I mean, you could have saved a little bit. I'm sure you overbid definitely on some players. But yeah, all right. What did you want to do now?
go to
Draft.
draft recap, right? Don't you think that'll be interesting?
All right. So worst pick first round, Kirk Oliver.
Yeah, I think that's easy, right? You could say
You thinking?
nah, I don't know, man. I think it has to be me, right? I don't know. Like, I think Saquon probably produced more than McCaffrey this year, right?
I'm sure he did, yeah. Because he played a couple. Yeah, I mean, he at least have a couple of points on the board. What was McCaffrey?
Yeah.
Dude, not actually that different though.
Yeah, they're pretty close. But obviously, I drafted McCaffrey at 1 overall, right?
Yeah.
As well.
Within 5 position rank of each other, though, interestingly enough.
But I missed by 36, right? So by
Yeah.
more than that, right? Because there's a bunch of other positions that outplayed him. So
This is a bad pick. I mean, at the end of the day, it was just an awful pick. Board
well,
bad.
listen, let's be honest though. No one saw that coming at all. McCaffrey had no injury history whatsoever. And that was just pure bad luck.
The best pick in the first round, I think, is Jonathan Taylor at 5.
I think it is, man. I think it is. Prego with the best pick of the first round. And, he's screaming reach about it. I think it was his only good reach. What do you think?
No, I think that's well. I mean, we'll see because I don't remember the other people drafted. I'm looking at David Montgomery round 2.
Yeah, that was another reach, right? He said reach there, and that did not pay off, right? So
yeah, man. No, I think hats off to Prego, but he also just traded him way too quickly. So you hate to see that from William Prego right there.
Yeah. Okay. You want to move over to round 2 here? What's the worst pick? We can start doing best pick maybe as well as we get into maybe some other rounds. But
so like there's like a lot of bad picks in here. Gibson,
Stephon Diggs. Yeah.
Diggs did not perform. Montgomery shouldn't even been in here.
Ridley.
I
think Ridley probably is, right?
Dude, Hopkins was bad too, though. Like 43rd. I mean, he was.
What about Gibson too? Kind of a bum round.
Gibson
Darren Waller.
was 12 though, because I also had.
Oh wow! So actually, not too bad a year.
No, not awful. It just feels worse.
He stayed healthy though, right? That's kind of why.
Yeah, he was not a productive running back.
You'd almost take an injury though, like for a few weeks, if you could get like a better player, right? I mean,
yeah. All right, so I think Ridley is probably.
I don't know. Waller. I think you could say Waller. You take a tight end that early.
Yeah, he was also bad before he got injured. He was
never explosive, really. I mean, he was always like a top 10 tight end when he played, but he was never like 1 or 2 or 3 really, besides week 1. So,
dude, that's kind of crazy. A lot of bad picks in here. I think the best clearly is Najee Harris.
I think maybe that's the best value. I don't know. Did Tyreek Hill have a good season? I don't really know. Like that's still a good pick, right? I mean, he's 6th. I guess that's not. What about Kelsey?
Harris is 3.
Harris is 3. I guess Harris is the best pick there.
Yeah. What did Kelsey do? I think he was probably number 2 tight end. Yeah, I mean Kelsey
was a good pick. Well, and you got Chubb, right? That was a good pick as well. Those are basically the only Gibson and Chubb and those guys, probably the only picks you'd be happy with, right? In the second.
Dude, yeah. And that with the second round picks. All right, let's go over to the third round. Anything jump off the screen at you?
I think the biggest bust of this round is Robert Woods, easily, right?
Yeah. You think? I mean,
did Miles Sanders play this year? Like I didn't hear.
You make a strong argument that there was a lot. Like
Woods. I think Robert Woods only played like 3 weeks, man. You got to look at it, but I think
he played 9.
Okay. Yeah, not very good though.
Dude, Miles Sanders was 41. Like he did not.
That was a bad pick.
That's a very bad pick. Like Terry McLaurin was also a bad pick. I hate to say it, but he was just terrible.
Yeah, he's like 5th round value this year.
Yeah. Jefferson, great pick.
But AJ Brown also kind of a bad pick, right? Like.
Yeah. AJ Brown.
I mean, who are the okay picks? It might save us time here. I mean,
probably I would say Swift was okay.
I think Kittle was okay. He had a few like winning weeks where he won the game for the guy, right? So
Jefferson was great.
Jefferson is the win, right?
Yeah. Keenan Allen was good. Clyde Edwards-Helaire sucked as well.
Keenan Allen, man, he's always like every year he's just good, man.
He's consistent. Consistent. All right, round 4.
All right, so easy what the worst pick of this round is, right? It's number 1. Allen Robinson is such a bad pick. He is awful. I don't think he should be drafted, right? Like click on him. 83rd wide receiver, man. And he played a lot of weeks, dude. He was awful, man. He was awful.
He busted 5 out of 11 games.
5 out of 11. He was terrible, man.
Yeah, no, he was.
And he was a guy that people were projecting really highly. He was bad.
No, he
Robinson might have been maybe the steal of that round. What do you think?
Oh, let's see what Robinson. 23rd.
Oh, he only finishes 23rd.
I think obviously Joe Mixon was clearly a better pick.
Oh, Joe Mixon was a steal for sure.
That was a good.
Great,
pick.
great value on Mixon there.
Dude, I like CeeDee Lamb. I think he was a fine pick at that area. Mahomes was early.
One thing I want to say about Mahomes though is that's also such bad value for a quarterback, I think, in my opinion. But
Agreed. Amari Cooper, kind of a bad pick. 28. He was just had a lot of bad games though.
yeah, he did.
And even like, dude, there's a lot. I guess Mike Evans was a good pick from Martelli Money Ballers with 4 Z's.
How about Mike Davis? That was a horrible pick, man.
That's a bad pick. It's a really bad pick out of you. 35. He was just awful. Like even
He
though
was
he's
terrible.
35, he was.
Dude, the only reason he's 35 is because he was a starter and like wasn't injured ever. That's like
Yeah, dude, literally. All
round
right, round
5. We can say who the best pick in round 5 is. Like
Yeah,
it's so
that's
easy.
clear. So Cooper Cup, obviously, and then I'm trying to think who.
Gus Edwards, I don't think played a game.
Nah, yeah, that's unfortunate. I think Chris Godwin, another probably highlight. I imagine he was pretty good. Yeah, 10.
DJ Moore was kind of a whiff, right?
18. He had a very hot start.
But he was never very good, right? I mean, I guess he was good at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, he was great at the beginning of the year, but dude, yeah, I mean,
T. Higgins is another bust, I think. Damian Harris is a bust.
Top 20.
But Damian Harris gets all his production at the end of the season where he's not starting for anyone. You know, in the regular season, Damian Harris wasn't you couldn't play him.
Yeah. Well, dude, it's also the Patriots just like love the multiple running back. Like they just don't want to make it on a feature. But yeah, all right. So dude, you know what I've noticed? There's so many whiffs. That's crazy. I guess this happens in any draft, but you look back and you're scratching your head on a couple of them.
Yeah.
Round 6, I immediately think Mark Andrews is probably the best pick, but not even close.
I don't think there's like another good player.
That's all bad. I was thinking that. No.
Like maybe Kyle Pitts is the second best player in the round. I obviously he is, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Even Lamar, even Lamar wasn't that good.
yeah,
All right.
that's easy. Yeah.
Now it's getting I imagine getting pretty thin.
Jamar Chase is a huge home run here. Right?
In the 7th. That's a big pick right there.
Huge home run.
Yeah. Justin Herbert, a big hit as well. Even though that's kind of where quarterback.
Was he though? That was like kind of where he should go, right? I mean,
but he was 2. He was not the second quarterback off the board.
but also I feel like Justin Herbert was very hit or miss this year. In some games, like I just felt like the quarterbacks this year were not.
It was a weird year.
As consistent as they normally are. So it was just like, yeah, whatever, quarterback, whatever. But
no, it was a weird year. All right, so clearly, I think Jamar Chase is the best, and then
I think Mostert is the whiff of this round, right? I mean,
who is? Oh, you're on round 8.
yeah. Oh, sorry. Are we talking about this other round? Brandon Ayuk, I think maybe you could talk about.
Probably, yeah.
There's not a lot of good players.
I know that's the issue here. Yeah, I guess Raheem was like he just.
It's crazy to think all these guys are going before Mike Williams.
Yeah, that is a good point. I mean, the Michael Thomas pick I thought was bad. I thought that was a crazy reach.
Where did I take him?
You took him in the 8th.
Okay.
I mean, he had the goose. He had the full goose.
Yeah, that was maybe the worst pick of the draft. Well, here's the thing, though. For me, at round 8, like who did I pick next? Robbie Anderson. I don't think he scored a point in anyone's starting lineup this
You're
year.
throwing darts on the dartboard.
So yeah, so what my thinking was, let's take Michael Thomas. If he does play, he'll be a great player. But he literally, as soon as he's coming back, he gets another injury. It's like, all right, whatever.
Wait, Kirk, who is the best player from round 8?
I think Aaron Rodgers probably.
Rodgers, right? Has to.
Antonio Brown, maybe. I think Rodgers. Yeah.
Yeah, Tony didn't play enough. That's kind of. Oh, maybe it was Melvin Gordon, 21. I guess probably Rodgers. Round 9, Deebo Samuel. Clearly, not even close again.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
Dude, the crazy thing is though, I had my eye on Deebo, And then I went with Corey Davis, who just sucks.
I don't think there's any whiffs really anymore. If you're around 9, you just guess.
Yeah.
Um,
Leonard Fournette, dude.
that's
sure.
a huge pick, man.
That's a great pick. What did he finish at? Probably top 5. Yeah.
James Conner is also like, I know James Conner didn't end up on that team, but I think he probably finished top 20 as well.
Top 8.
Yeah.
What was Michael Gardner? 30. I guess. I mean, he had a pop off or 2. Darnell Mooney was he was decent.
He was
Not
solid,
bad.
but I did not roster him for very long. He was so up and down, I couldn't keep him on my team.
Yeah.
All
right. So round 11.
Ronald Jones is a huge whiff.
Yeah, that is a big whiff. I think Waddle, clearly.
Yeah, that's easy. Yeah, he's definitely a player of that one. Good pick by Prego.
Dude,
there.
another Prego didn't have a bad draft. Like he really didn't. All right, round 12.
I don't know though. Like I think he did still have a bad draft because we're talking about all these busts, but I think people are also finding like guys later on.
Who was
But yeah.
TJ Short. I'm just looking at this stuff. Yeah, I mean it's kind of hit or miss though, but
I think Justin Tucker is an interesting pick from you.
Dude, he was actually a bust, I would say.
Yeah, he definitely was. He wasn't kicker 1, was he?
Number 2, dude. No. Unacceptable from Justin Tucker.
And he never had a game where he like won it for you, did he?
I was waiting for the game that he would win it for me, and it just never came. Couple 15-pointers, but
yeah, you get that from some other kickers too. So
this
Harrison Butker. I mean, what the hell is that, dude? What the fuck?
From Josh right there. Yeah, very random. All right. I don't even know who wins. Like
probably Gesicki.
I guess, yeah.
You also have to remember Stafford turns into Pittman. That's also a pretty good pick, right?
Stafford. Yeah, I was gonna say probably Stafford. All right. So around 13. All right, now we're just getting
there's no one left. Brady, probably, right?
Yeah, Brady. That's great value back there. And then dude, give me Tony Pollard, round 14. I love it.
Yeah, that was a snag.
Even though like he was not really playable the whole year because Zeke was taking all the touches. All right. Well, that was our draft recap, guys. Hope you enjoyed.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to look back at it. It's almost like round 8 through 13. We're going through these guys saying like, well, he's not a bust. He was like 34th. It's like that guy's still not playable. I guess it kind of shows you how many people come off waivers during the year, man.
Dude, waiver is incredibly important. People pop up out of nowhere. But even, dude, if you hit on someone in like round 8 through 13, like, oh, you're just set up so well.
Dude, even if you get like just a regular starter in
what
those rounds, that's huge for your team.
Yeah, because I mean, there was a lot of misses on there. My gosh.
Woo!
All right. So what do we got? I think we're going to take a short break here, Kirk. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
We'll be back in a sec. So we're going to go into superlatives here, and then we're going to do final thoughts on the season, and yeah, that's it. That'll be the commish dish for this year, boys. It's been a great year.
It has, Kirk. And, I couldn't have asked for a better co-host. Excellent work out of you. Editing was always high quality. Was always a pleasure hopping on here, talking a little fantasy football with you, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. We were holding it down this year, John, and I think I would wager this is a marked improvement from the power rankings. I have a lot of fun doing these, so I don't know if people actually listen to them, but I always enjoy it every week, John, and I listen every week. So
I do too, Kirk. And you know what? I think we're pretty good at it.
I think we'll have to do it again next year. We'll obviously try and improve and stuff. So
I was gonna say we're always finding ways to innovate too, because we started with power rankings and then we keep changing it. So we'll see. But that could be part of our off season. We're gonna have plenty of off season, not coverage, so to speak, but a lot of action happening, and that could definitely change some dynamics.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So you want to get into this superlatives here?
Let's kick it off, man. And best storyline, that's actually a bit of a tough one because there was a lot of good storylines. Will Prego. I had written this guy off. I said, well, Prego stinks. He might not win a game. You remember you asked me, someone asked me, it was a mailbag question. Is he going to win a game in 2021? I said, no. I really think he's going to have to wait until 2022 or beyond to win. He proved me wrong. He had a great resurgence, and he's a consolation bracket champion. I mean, hats off to him. That's that never say never attitude that makes him just such a infectious personality, man. He's always got good energy, great guy. Couldn't have happened to a nicer person too, man. So, Will Prego, if you're hearing this, you had the best storyline, at least in my opinion, and I'm glad you're enjoying that bottle of Jack Daniels right now.
Yeah, listen, I don't know if I'm supposed to stay with you or go with my own way. I think I'd probably also pick Prego. I mean, what a roller coaster, man. Coming off the championship dub, right? Like, goes into the draft, has a wild draft where he takes like probably the number 2 player, calls it a reach. The guy has like 2 bad weeks and he's fucking abandoned ship. He's all over the place, man. It was a crazy season. But in the end, he wins the consolation bracket, and I think he becomes the only manager to have won both the championship and the consolation bracket, John.
It is unfortunate because I always talk about winning the consolation bracket.
But you have never accomplished.
I have actually never won the consolation bracket.
Yeah. I think Dev won last year, and I can't remember who won year 1. I don't think it was me. That's all I know. But yeah, so congrats to Prego. I think maybe runner-up is probably yourself, John. What a storyline here. Everyone had their own stories kind of, but you get to put the cherry on top of yours with the championship. And you obviously have been a long-suffering team in this league. The other guy I'd mention, probably honorable mention, the other honorable mention is the Sheriff, I think. Quite honestly, bounce back season for the Sheriff. Has been the bottom feeder of the league. And I know he doesn't make the playoffs, but, he made some very solid moves this year. He turned Allen Robinson into Leonard Fournette. He got Jonathan Taylor on his team right before the huge Taylor, breakout. So, I think it's the Sheriff probably overcomes the worst draft. So props to him, man. And yeah, so I think, I would give it to Prego, but those are the other 2 guys I'd mention.
Had the Sheriff made the playoffs, I think I'd probably give it to him because he really he's been awful the last 2 years. So, but
I think at the end of the year, you could make the argument that his roster at the end of the year was the best roster in the league.
You could
going into the playoffs. I don't think you would say it now, but going into the playoffs, you could make that argument.
Yeah.
Do you want to switch over to the next superlative, John?
Yeah, Kirk. This one I had to really think a lot about. The most corrupt award. And what does corruption mean in this sense? It means someone who you can't trust, someone who is just conniving and, doing all of these schemes and plots and, fugazi, it's pixie dust whenever you talk to him because you can never get a straight answer. And the most corrupt award goes to Kirk Oliver. And Kirk, why don't you explain what was going through your mind when you tried to ruin the integrity of the league by adding 70, 80, 90 points, whatever you added to your score to try to get yourself into the championship game? Take us through it.
John, I can neither confirm nor deny these allegations that you've levied against me. The litigation is ongoing. Obviously, for my most corrupt superlative, I'm going to go with John Reed for unfairly ousting me as co-commissioner of the league. And to be honest, I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that. I should have won the championship this year. But yeah, I think another guy we could talk about for most corrupt, John, is Josh, the puppet master Josh, who has completely rewritten. I mean, we'll save it for the next superlative, I guess. Should we go on to the fraudiest? Is that the next one?
You've already gave it away.
It's Josh, man. We could have just said the name of the award. Everyone knew we were going to give it to. He has a 6-8 team. He goes to the playoffs. He plays the easiest schedule in the playoffs. He gets to the freaking championship. If he had won the championship, I'm not sure I would have been able to come on the show with any sort of energy whatsoever, man. I would have been completely dead, man. I mean, oh, brutal, brutal. And there are people like Jack Martelli who has a hard on for statistics and analytics, who doesn't look into it at all, who's like, oh, Josh is the best team. Oh, he's gonna be in the playoffs. No, Jack, come on, man. Let's go. Let's look at this a little bit. Let's wake up. I know you won 3 games this year, but we need to pay attention a little bit before we give our opinions. So yeah, that's all I'd say about that. I don't think, do you have anyone else you'd like to give an honorable mention to for that?
No, I have to say, and just one last time, remarking the irony. Josh pitches this rule. Who does it benefit? Josh. Enough said.
Dude, I know. He comes in with the other rule, which was like the pickup rule or whatever. And immediately I'm hostile to it because I know he's got, an ulterior motive for it.
He always has ulterior motive.
He's schemer, man.
He is a schemer. But we need him in the league.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a cornerstone, I would say. Should we go up to the next one?
Yeah, what do we got? Oh, the Broken Back Award. So this one actually, all right, so Broken Back, in case you haven't put 2 and 2 together, most injured team. And I'm going to give it to Santi. This dude's team was just like in shambles. Like it looked like a nursing home for retired football players is how I'm going to describe it. Just broken bones, broken knees, missing eyes. I mean, it was a mess, a complete mess. And when he got healthy, he started winning. He went on a tear at the end of the season. Rightfully was the number 6 seed. I have to throw that out there because Josh, he did take Santi's spot. And I think Santi would have made the championship. I don't know if we talked about that, but you hate to see it from Santi. Definitely wish he was a little healthier, but heck of a season and excited to see what he does next year.
Yeah, absolutely, man. He had a good year. I think definitely we can probably all say that he knows football a little bit better than his predecessor, or at least follows it a little bit closer. So, excited to have Santi in the league. He obviously dealt with some serious injuries: Chris Carson, Saquon Barkley, TJ Hawkinson. Other guys as well. There are a lot of people who had injuries though this year. It was an injury-prone year. I'd like to throw myself in the mix for this award as an honorable mention. I think in the playoffs, no one was more injured than myself. Devin obviously had the big injury to Derrick Henry, who's coming back this week now that the season's over. That was a big injury. And even Mark had, he didn't have Dalvin Cook for his really important game, which I think really cost him. He lost by 2 points. So yeah, everyone dealt with injuries. It was an injury-prone year. Those guys I mentioned probably had the most, or at least the most key ones. But yeah, Santi obviously had to deal with a lot. So I like the award, John.
Yeah. No, and Kirk, any other superlatives for you?
Do we have any others, John? I think we could maybe do like Iron Man award for the team that was the healthiest, but I don't even know who you would. Probably you, right? Or maybe
I would say, yeah, Iron Man award, me. And I want to say too, like if Clyde Edwards-Helaire doesn't get injured going into the championship, Josh might have won, dude. Darrell Williams had 25. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was scoring on 4. So
yeah,
the right injuries can make a difference,
dude. And you know what? You had some injuries, but like picking non-injured players is kind of, that's part of it, So yeah. I don't think I think like I could say like, oh, I'm bummed that I had all these injuries, like what my team could have been, but I'm not going to complain about it too much. That's part of the game. So,
and Kirk, you and I talked before. That was my strategy going in. I really wanted to pick people who didn't have any injury histories and were consistent. Like that was my game plan.
Yeah, and we had a bit of an argument before about like how that was the strategy every year, and I certainly say this was the year for it with COVID and everything. And I mean, I don't think like you could have possibly known about who's going to get COVID or whatever, but having everyone on your team not injured otherwise, like, and then if you have COVID, you have at least, a bench to respond to it. Like that was huge for you. I had guys getting COVID. I was like, no, you literally can't get COVID. You're the guy I got to play. So
you're it.
Yeah, no, I think that definitely, I mean, that was the path to the championship this year. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this is a natural transition into the final.
Yeah, definitely.
Final thoughts on the season. What a remarkable season, Kirk. I can't remember more parity, more like intrigue, storylines. You and I probably were at the forefront of a lot of those storylines. But dude, what a weird year.
Yeah, man. And you know what? I think it was probably like everyone had something going for them this year at some point. Everyone had like a strength on their team or weakness. Guys are making moves. Guys are improving their stock and hurting it. And like it was the playoffs going in, I literally had no idea who was going to win.
Yeah.
Which usually you could think someone's going to win and then be wrong. But I literally could not have picked, a winner. And that's pretty impressive. And dude, I think Santi and the Sheriff were both deserving of, if you were going to have an expanded, I think they both could have won the championship in any spot, depending on the way things went. So I think it's rare where you have 8 teams that could have all, done it. And quite honestly, it was a really fun year, I think, because of that, because literally every week you didn't know what was going on. You didn't know who was going to win or what was going to happen. And things were constantly in motion. So fun year, man.
And I would say too, our listeners out there, all 8 of you, if there is 8 of you, well, maybe 3.
But dude, talk to our future selves as well.
I know, yeah. The engagement from the league I thought was excellent. Really enjoyed having Santi here. That's not taking anything away from his predecessor, but I mean, what a great vibe that he brought to the league. Thought the Sheriff was classic. He was he's not active in the group chat. He's a Sheriff. He's 35. I got it. But dude, he just adds the element. He's the wild card.
He's like a mysterious negotiator and he's like a shadow guy. And dude, he won his trade this year. That was the other superlative, man. Best trader. We forgot to mention that. It's got to be Sheriff, man. He absolutely destroys Will trading Allen Robinson for Leonard Fournette. Dude, impressive year from the Sheriff. I just wanted to give him a shout out. Really cool year for him.
Well, especially because it's so easy, I think. And I dealt with this a little bit. If you have 2 bad years, it's so easy to be all right, whatever. I'm not going to pay attention. I'm not going to try to trade, improve my team. But dude, Sheriff was on top of it. And this is a dude who has a job and he's a Sheriff. He has an important job.
Dude, he's a real dude. He's a real guy. Yeah. Not like the rest of us. And dude, and he he had a bad team at the beginning of the year too. Yeah. It would have been so easy to be all right, whatever. $40. I actually have money. So I don't know. Really, I thought that was awesome from the Sheriff. And dude, Mark texted me when I beat the Sheriff, with that last second James Conner, and the Sheriff was ticked off. Yeah. And honestly, that made me like him so much more that he was watching it with me. That's awesome, man.
No, I'm so glad that having Mark and I can just run down the list of everyone. Sommer, I enjoyed his energy. He always thinks he's so good, and it was it's great seeing him lose in the playoffs. But you need it. Humble the guy. I think we got a lot of big egos in here, but Sommer obviously is a great vibe. And pleasure to compete against Josh. Dude, a lot of controversy with Josh this year. Josh versus you. I mean, what a storyline.
Dude, and you have to say, whatever you think about Josh, he certainly has an impact on the league. No matter what, every year, dude, and even before the rule change or whatever, he was he's always a really good team.
Yeah, he's a good team, and he's another thing. He's one of the most engaged people too, which is nuts.
Yeah, absolutely.
That makes the difference in the league. Because if we're just a bunch of random guys playing fantasy football, it's not that fun. It's when people are no, Kirk, you're an idiot. This is the rule. And then you're screaming at them. That's what it's all about. And it's not that serious, even though you and I sit on our, our pedestals and we pretend that we're talking about actual things. We're talking about fantasy football league with a bunch of former college friends. That's what this is. But Mark, obviously with the Sheriff, great vibes. Will Prego, just being the witch doctor.
He's the X factor. He's the wild card, man.
He's such a wild card, dude.
Dude, I didn't know what a wild card was. Obviously in Always Sunny, it's just because Charlie doesn't bring anything, so they just call him that. Dude, but what dude, Prego, he's the spice, man. You have to have him in this league, I think.
Dude,
you can't even describe it, man. He adds such a unique flavor to everything. So
He
Dude, I
does.
remember I texted him like some trash talk, whatever, about like Miami and like Steve Ross, and his reply was literally like incomprehensible. Like I'm, and I remember being like, dude, Prego is drunk like on New Year's Eve right now, like texting me something. And Michigan was getting absolutely stomped, and I was like, oh, that's hilarious. Like,
Yeah, no, it's good stuff. And
so, you
it's
know,
also hilarious. Like I met him one summer in DC with Mark. And dude, there's just something about his personality, man. It's literally infectious. I think he's infectious though. Like he just brings energy and he'll just like rile people up. He's awesome, dude. One of the funniest, coolest people ever met. Obviously great having him in the league. Santi, I thought was a nice vibe, like a really cool addition. We're moving away from a previous owner who should not be named. But it was nice seeing Santi. Hopefully we can get him on the pod. Would love to get him kind of a more formal introduction. But for a first-year team, I thought he had a great impact, good presence, and good vibes all around.
dude, and I thought he was very chill and like, he wasn't like discordant with the league. He was very, he fit right in kind of.
He did.
So that was nice. Is there anyone we missed? We missed Jack, obviously. We have to have a punching bag in this league.
He serves a critical role because we would all devour each other, but he collectively absorbs all.
No,
of us.
I actually think I will say this about Jack, like one of the nicest dudes there is. And like, I don't know why he's nice, like, because everyone is so mean to him, but man, A+ man, horrible fantasy mind, but there you have it.
No, and on that point, like I love talking to Jack. Like he is such a nice guy, but dude, every time I call him though, I know I'm gonna have to hop on Commish Dish and say, dude, I just got off the horn with them. So cocky.
Yeah, Jack's like, I can't keep calling John because no matter what I say, like he gets on the Commish Dish and says I was being cocky.
Oh man. And Kirk, you obviously, I feel like I started the league, but you have made it what it is. I think your effort does not go unnoticed. You are the engine that makes this whole thing run. Without you, I don't know what the league would look like. So just want to give, a big thank you for all the hard work you did this year. It was much appreciated. I thought you did a great job with the editing. And even like working, like this was just like a random idea. And we came together and,
Yeah,
two
man.
heads working and we built this thing, man. It was awesome. Awesome to work with you.
Yeah, I want to congratulate you as well, man. I think this is you were the inception for this league. And I mean, basically all of the ideas, like I've kind of taken over some of them, like power rankings, people probably think of me, but like you did the first ever power rankings. Like I think you just wanted to roast up Will's team or something. And like you wrote them and sent them like to the league. And they were all like a sentence, except for like Will's was like like 5 sentences. But no, man, it was yeah, no, you've been the inception for a lot of these things. And like, dude, the podcast and the power rankings, like this has been like by far the most fun fantasy league I've ever been a part of. And so yeah, it's kind of easy for me at least to like I can only look at my roster for so long. It's always shitty. So I got to get into the other aspects. So yeah, man, I think it's been a great league. I think we touched on everyone. We missed Dev, who
Dev.
we have to talk about Dev as well.
I'll say this about Dev because I didn't know Dev too well, but dude, Dev is pretty cool, man. Every time I text him, I'm always like, yeah, this guy's pretty cool. And just like
Dev is a really
down to
chill
earth.
guy as well. And he's
so
just like
chill,
he's
so
very
down to
good with the flow, but like, and it's funny too, because like I don't know like exactly about this, but I would say he probably didn't have the most knowledge of football before, like, or at least the NFL going into like our fantasy league. It was his first ever fantasy league. And you would never know that, dude, because he like is on top of all this stuff.
Yes.
Which is like, dude, and if it wasn't for every member, like we should say that, like every single person sets their lineup. Every single person like is doing something. So, it's a one of a kind league, and I'm honored to be a part of it, boys. And yeah,
dude, absolutely. And as we like kind of progress, continue to innovate, continue to change. One of these years, man, we all gotta like, I guess it'll probably go down to Mississippi because I don't think the sheriff is going anywhere, but would love to do like an in-person, just have everyone meet each other. I guess like I'm kind of like the connect for a lot of people, but the general vibe is like just friendly people, and then everyone just like kind of we got some big egos, but we also have like the chillers and just a good vibe, man. And I really have enjoyed, like, I think I was starting to lose a little bit of interest in fantasy before starting this league, like in my home leagues, but it's been so nice to hop on and be able to do this with these guys. It's been awesome.
Yeah, dude. And that's the thing for me too, is like my other league, like I don't care about it so much, but I know so much fantasy stuff from this league that like I just go quickly into the other league and like set my lineup and do the waiver stuff. And it's like, okay. But yeah, man, it's been awesome. It's been a great year for fantasy, I think, as well. Like we said earlier, I think everyone except for maybe Jack and Prego had like very competitive year this year. And those guys have obviously won the championship in the past. So, it was a good year, and I'm excited for next year and the offseason and everything. Maybe we'll do like a commish dish in the offseason, like before the next draft or something.
Kirk,
yeah, I'd also love to connect in real life and stuff. So,
Kirk, can I get a prediction, a way too early 2022-2023 fantasy football champion from you right now?
I mean, all right, let me take a look at this. So we got Jack year one. That's a surprise for me. That's a surprise. Knowing what I know, that's a surprise. Then we go to Prego, who, okay, I believe that. Yeah, I believe that. The guy takes risks. He's gonna connect every once in a while. I did not see coming, man, to be honest with you. I thought you had a good team at the beginning of the year, and then I thought you were pretty mediocre, like literally up until the playoffs. I was like, this guy's a mediocre team, but got it done. Dude, I hate to say it, but who was overdue is Josh. To be honest, I think I like Josh or Dev to win next year. We've got 2 champions from our division. Someone from their division is probably going to snag one here. And I don't know, Josh or Dev, man. Dev has had, every year Dev has had the best team at like one point. So,
yep.
I think he's going to, connect, so.
I feel like
that's my way too early. I mean, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but that's, crazy stab in the dark.
The early line, I feel, dude, honestly, I think either probably Josh or Sommer is who I'm thinking of. Like, if Sommer can win a playoff game, like, I think he'll make the playoffs again. I don't really have any doubt. He always finds a way, dude. I don't know how he does.
I know that Sommer's my big rival, and I'm always talking trash to him. But if we look at Sommer's trajectory, like year one, like year two, year three, like I don't know, man. I might be projecting a consolation bracket finish for him next year, to be honest with you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, man. Hey, we'll see. I think the league will be a lot different though next year. I think we're gonna have some changes. But like any other league, you have to adapt with what works, what doesn't, and then just try to improve it.
Yeah, and we were talking about some rule changes, like maybe doing seeding and stuff for the playoffs. And I mean, I obviously am in favor of overturning the scoring rule, but obviously we'll have more discussions on that. But for now, man, I would just say Happy New Year to everyone. Great fantasy season, and I'm looking forward to the next one. You want to wrap it up there?
Yeah. Thank you all for listening. It's been an absolute pleasure to go on this journey with all of you, and Happy New Year. Take care, and we'll see you in the off season.
We got to do a final outro, right, man? Thank you very much, guys. That's been the Commish Dish. Have a very happy 2022.